Hi everybody, my name's Julie and you're gonna watch a video about some crappy thing that happened to me, but you're gonna learn how to avoid the crappiness. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Julie. I'm an indie filmmaker. If you want to know more about me, you can totally check out my website. This video I'll be talking about kind of serious stuff, but I'm gonna try and keep it quick-ish. Okay, and I'm gonna do like chapter times and all that jazz down below. Okay, so the biggest thing is the reason why I feel compelled to talk about these things is I'm going to give advice because I just want to do what I can to help others avoid the pain that I had to deal with. And I think the more people tell their stories, the more people show their light, their inner light, that's a heart, the more they give other people freedom to shine their lights. And I'm kind of paraphrasing Marianne Williamson there, a really great writer. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. So I'm gonna try to show my heart to encourage other people to show their hearts and that kind of thing. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna call this. I had a crappy experience at a crappy church. This happened a couple weeks ago. No, this happened a couple years ago, a year or two ago, about 2020. But yeah, so I happen to be predominantly attracted to women. You can call me lesbian or gay or kind of bisexual, you know, but I'm primarily attracted to women. So, and to prove it, I have these flags. See? See? I'm gay. See, we're gay. Okay, or, you know, primarily attracted to women. Okay, there's a little bit of nuance to me, but not that much. Okay. So that's what I want to say. What happened was I love the LGBTQ community with all my heart and soul. And I'm part of the LGBTQ community, like totally. Okay. So what happened was I was feeling a little burnt out. I had a group of LGBTQ friends who I feel like they were cool, but they weren't quite the right fit. And there's lots of diversity in general in the LGBTQ community, like class differences, blah, blah, blah. There's even like social dynamics. There's like cool LGBTQ people and there's like nerdy LGBT, you know what I'm saying? So whatever. Okay. So anyway, I was feeling a little burnt out by some experiences I'd had with the certain aspects of the LGBTQ community, which is multifaceted. It's a very multifaceted community. I love that community with all my heart. So I started going to this church that said it was progressive. It wasn't. It's conservative Christian, which is not good. Okay, so I'm cool with Jesus. I have a Jesus action figure somewhere over there. I don't feel like getting up over there. Okay, but yeah, me and Jesus are cool. I don't got no beef with Jesus. You know, you can Google, if you're like, Jesus, who's that? You can Google. I don't know what I mean by that. Okay, I love Jesus. Julie loves Jesus. Okay. I grew up going to church, Baptist, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But the point of this video is just talking about this crappy church. I won't say the name. I am putting them on blast on Facebook, which is private. But I won't say their name because whatever. Okay. Okay. Here's why I ended up having a horrible experience at this church because the way it ended was I met a woman who I think was psychologically not safe. I would actually diagnose her with narcissistic disorder, like straight up. Not a psychologist, I'm an indie filmmaker, but what the heck, I'm just gonna say it. So I would diagnose her with narcissistic disorder, and everything was always about her. But also, I would just say like something's off about her. That's what I would say, about her personality, whatever. I made a super long video about that. I'll put a link somewhere around here. But basically, like, these are the facts. Like, 2 weeks after my dad died, she attempted to hustle, like, $2,100 out of me under the guise of tidy consultants. I don't know. It was so bizarre. It was so weird. It was such a strange hustle, and it was just so weird that I'll link to the video if you want to watch a really long video about that. But this video is about the crappy church I went to. So what happened was, I knew I wanted to sort of go public with it, and she got $900 out of me, and we'll get into that. What happened is she got in my head, and I was doing anyway. I just feel bad. I feel stupid. But the way they painted it is what's so offensive and homophobic. And that's what I realized. I don't think it's safe for LGBTQ people to go to church with straight people because it puts the LGBTQ people at risk. It's more like I want LGBTQ people to stay safe. The last week of December of this past year, 2022, I put a post on Facebook. I kept the church anonymous. I said, hey, here's this crappy thing that happened. And I kept everyone anonymous. But my friends and family, even people, my Sunday school teacher, people I've known since I was like 4 or whatever, they were all like super supportive and loving. I found out I had friends and family who were really, really, really LGBTQ affirming. Like, people were loving and supportive, and they reached out to me. One of my friends who's like a hillbilly, I'm a hillbilly from Virginia, one of my friends was like, you want me to kick her ass? And I was like, no violence needed. No violence needed. But what happened was, 2 of the ministers from the crappy church, they reached out to me, and unfortunately, they're 2 straight guys, and they're products of conservative Christianity. I don't think they're evil. I don't think they're sadistic. I don't think they wish anyone any bad will. But I do think they're heterosexual men who are products of conservative Christianity, and they don't understand the nuance of just being a human being, much less the nuance of being LGBTQ. So they both reached out to me, but they were both being low-key homophobic. And I can't explain it to them because whatever, you know what I'm saying? I just told them that they reached out to me. I explained further about everything that happened, but here's where it's homophobic with the narcissist, the lady narcissist. The lady narcissist, so I was drinking the conservative Christian Kool-Aid. So I was pretty much celibate. I was waiting until marriage, that kind of thing. That's weird. It's weird. That's kind of weird on its own. But so I was really, really, really squeaky clean, like very squeaky clean. And no judgments for anyone out there who's celibate or waiting until marriage. No judgments. But for me, it was a little weird. Okay. But I was so squeaky clean. Like, I was following the conservative Christian shit. Sorry. T for T. And except I was gay. Except I happened to be gay. So this lady who's a narcissist, as far as the friendship, like all of it, she targeted me. That's what's so bananas. Like, she pursued me in friendship. She pursued me in friendship. She's really, really talkative because she just likes the sound of her own voice. So when I first, I had a crush on her, but like, it's the most innocent, like, it's the most innocent crush in the world. I shouldn't have had a crush on her, my bad. But anyway, but when I got a crush on her, that's after we ended up talking like 6 a.m. in the morning, and I thought that was like a thing, but it turns out she just likes the sound of her own voice, blah, blah, blah. Something's off about her. Okay, I think something's off about her. But the way she painted the situation, they put her in a leadership position because she's straight and I'm gay and they hate gay people. They have gay people on the leadership team, but I don't know. I still I don't think the church, it's a crappy church. I don't like it. Okay. But, okay. So, the way she painted the situation, because 2 of my friends, they're straight people, and I thought they were my friends. Like, I'd hung out with them. I'd gone to their apartment, and we hung out and watched movies, and I was wrong. Like, the whole time I was hanging out with these people, I was just Frankenstein or the creature from the Black Lagoon. Like, I wasn't a human being to them. They're the 2 straight guys, and there's a straight lady, and she's friends with the narcissist, but basically they're all like, ew, gross, gay people. You know what I mean? Like, get it away from me, it's a gay person. Like, that's basically their vibes. And if I would have known that, I never would have walked into that church because I'm a human being. So I'm a person, and I don't know how to prove my humanity to people who can't see my humanity. But the way the lady narcissist painted the situation, she was like, Julie just wanted, Julie thought that, whatever. The way they all painted the situation is that they thought I wanted to sleep with a straight lady because apparently I'm just so hard up for women, which is just bullshit because there's so many gay people in the LGBTQ community. So yeah, the way they painted it was like I'm the predator, which I'm not. I'm really not. I'm just not. Okay. But what's odd is like the whole tidy consultants thing. That was all her idea. Like it was her idea. Her rate is $100 an hour based on nothing because she's a narcissist. Like illusions of grandeur. She has no experience. All that kind of stuff. I can't believe I gave her $900, but I did not give her. This is the part that's so offensive. I did not give her $900 because I was hoping it would lead to me sleeping with her. That is so fucking offensive and so fucking offensive and homophobic because I don't know if I want to sleep with, not that I'm some player, but if I want to sleep with a woman, there's apps for that. There's apps for that. It's the Bay Area. It's like rainbows here. Okay, not that I'm some player. It's just like, I don't know, if all you want is hookup sex, like that, hookup sex seems to be pretty easy to find in the Bay Area, give or take, because I don't know. So, because also around the time with the tidy consultants, the lady narcissist, her parents, it was all during COVID, her parents had lost their home, so they were all living in a one-bedroom apartment. So when she brought up the whole cleaning, tidying thing, when she brought it up, like, she's like, oh, hey, I could help you clean your apartment. I thought it was only going to take a couple of hours. She did say the $100 an hour thing, but I thought it was only going to take a couple of hours. So I was like, okay, well, she needs some money. So I thought I'd give her like $200. I was like, all right, I can, I thought I was helping a friend basically. And then the other thing is, that's also odd. I was like, because I considered her a friend and I had a job. I was like, hey, do you need cash? And it was COVID. So I was like, also like during COVID, unemployment was giving like a crap load of money. Like they bumped it up by a lot. So for like 8 weeks, like we were getting so much money. It was awesome. Okay. More than what we'd get at our day jobs. Okay. So I was just like, hey, like, I'm actually financially fine. Like, do you, like, do you want me to just give you some cash? Like, whatever. Because I know I consider her a friend and I thought we were in a bind. But no, she came up with this weird, it's complicated. I had this roommate. I got a new roommate. She happened to be bisexual. She happened to be a very attractive woman. And I think the crazy lady narcissist, she just needed a reason to be in the apartment to make sure nothing happened between me and the roommate. Still, that's offensive, whatever. Because me and the roommate, we were just clashing on our friendship vibe. It wasn't, whatever. But I think she came up with this weird, she's weird. This chick is weird. She came up with this weird, elaborate, like, thing because she wanted to be in the fucking apartment. And also, and to me, she just wanted to make sure nothing happened between me and the new roommate, which, whatever. It was so weird. This lady's weird. This chick is weird. Okay. But I met her at a weird church. So that was mistake one. Mistake one was walking into that church. Okay. So I think if you want more info on that, I made a really long video about that. So I'll put a link below. But I want to focus on the church. So I remember the first time I walked into this church, I walked in and I remember thinking, it's super close to my apartment and it said it was gay affirming. So part of the reason I went is I was a little burnt out on the sort of negative aspects of the LGBTQ community. So I went to this gay affirming church, but it was started by straight people. So that's mistake one, because some straight people, they're just not going to get being LGBTQ. But I walked in this church. I remember my first thought, I wasn't trying to be judgmental, but I remember I walked in and I was like, okay, this is a church for basic straight people who aren't that smart, but like they seem overall okay. I remember thinking that, and I wasn't trying to be an asshole, or I don't even think I'm judgmental, but I remember very subconsciously having that thought, and basically I was right. But the thing about people who are basic or not smart, you have to be careful with those. And I'm not even being snooty or elitist, but people who are basic and not smart can do a lot of fucked up things, like the weird lady narcissist. So I want to explain, okay, I want to say, like, why is this church crappy, right? Okay. The reason why I think this church was crappy, I'll say, like, one time the minister, he's a cisgender straight white guy and he's fine, but I think he's lived a very sheltered life, basically. To me, he has. I don't know. Or he's lived... He grew up with a decent amount of money, so I don't think he always quite understands, like... I think he has trouble relating to people who aren't, like, Yeah, I know. I think he has trouble relating to people who aren't suburban upper middle class people. He's suburban and upper middle class, and he has trouble relating to people who are not suburban upper middle class. That's what I'll say. And I think the whole church was for people who are suburban upper middle class people who grew up that way. So I never should have gone to that church. Never. I didn't fit in. I wasn't supposed to fit in. And I think if we're talking religiously, Jesus wanted me to get the fuck out of that church. That's what I'll say. I think Jesus was like, run for your life. Okay, so the thing I didn't like about this church was, I think, like, the theology wasn't even necessarily Christianity, like, whatever. I'm interfaith. Technically, I'm interfaith. I'm about to make a video about that, but okay. I think the theology of this church, based on the sermons I went to, the one time this guy, he gave a sermon about how flowers are pretty and they can make you happy. And that was actually one of his best sermons. Like, flowers are pretty and they do make you happy. So I was like, okay, I like that sermon. But the rest of his sermons, the vibe of this church, I never should have gone there. Like, I kick myself for going there. And I'm going to give shout outs if they want, but I'm going to give shout outs to 3 really awesome churches in the Bay Area. Or there's some cool synagogue. There's a really cool synagogue a couple of blocks from my apartment. So there's a lot of great religious, spiritual institutions, or whatever, for lack of a better word. But okay. So the vibe of this church was, it was upper middle class people, and that's totally fine. But they're also, like, really, really, really emo. Because, like, the lead minister, he would just sort of complain a lot, or he didn't seem very happy. That's what it was. He didn't seem to have a lot of inner happiness. And I think that's fine, but then he would always talk about how much money he made, and he'd be like, I'm so noble, I only make this amount of money. And he would say the number, and I was like, it was a crap load of money. He made so much money as a minister. And that just shows how sheltered he was, that he thought, oh, I'm so noble, I only make this. And I was like, but that's a lot of money. That's so much money. If I made what he made, I'd be doing cartwheels every day, but whatever. So, and I do okay, I'm happy with what I make, but, you know, whatever. He made more than I did, and he was like, woe is me, woe is me. A lot of woe is me. He was basically Eeyore. So, except Eeyore's cute. Eeyore, the little donkey, is cute. He has like a little pink bow. Okay, so to me also, this church was a lot of pissing and moaning. A lot of, like, upper middle class people who to me just had so much money, but they were, like, so unhappy. And I would just say, like, yes, wealthy people are allowed to have existential crises, totally. It's just, like, it wasn't the church for me, because it's like, I grew up really poor, and I've seen, also in the Bay Area, you see people really struggle, and it was just hard for me to see people taking their lives for granted, basically. I was like, you guys are taking stuff for granted. And I have 2 YouTube videos where I teach actual tactics on how to feel happier every day. So there are tactics on how to feel happier, how to release the happy chemicals in your head so you're just feeling happier every day. So I have 2 YouTube videos on that, and I can link to those too. Yeah, so basically I'd be having the best day ever. I would go to this, like, emo church, and I'd feel like crap. And I was feeling really great. I'd go to church, and it was so emo and horrible. I'd leave feeling sad. I wish I'd never gone there. I don't know why I went there for so long, but I went there because I wanted a sense of community, a sense of belonging. Okay, it just, but it took, sorry. It took me a while to realize, like, at least in the Bay Area, like, maybe I just don't fit in the Bay Area, and that's totally fine. I got this book. I also have this book, Brene Brown, Braving the Wilderness, The Quest for True Belonging, The Courage to Stand Alone. And in it, she talks about Maya Angelou. So this is a Maya Angelou quote. And Maya Angelou said, "You're only free when you realize you belong no place. You belong every place, no place at all. The price is high, the reward is great." Yeah, so I think I was just trying to make it in the Bay Area and trying to find a community and trying to fit in and that kind of thing. And then for some reason, I was really drinking the conservative Christian Kool-Aid. I don't know why. I don't know why I was drinking that Kool-Aid. I don't know why. Whatever. Okay. So yeah. Going to this church, honestly, it was bad for my mental health. It made, and then the nail in the coffin too was just like one time the minister gave this sermon about hope versus optimism, and it was a bad sermon. It was a weird sermon. It wasn't based on psychology at all, because I think if you get a theology degree, I think you're just taking a bunch of classes on the Bible, which is great. The Bible's awesome, but you're not necessarily taking classes on psychology, like the science of how your brain works. So I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. It's just, anyway. So he gave this sermon about hope versus optimism. I just thought it was a dumb sermon, but that was the sermon nail in the coffin. It's like, I don't belong. I never should have gone to this church. I don't belong in this church. But the sermon was saying really good things about hope, but then talking shit about optimism. So it was like, hope is like doing the right thing, but optimism is thinking cotton candy is delicious. I don't know, but I think what he was trying to say was hope has depth and optimism is like trite. I think that's what he was trying to say. But the sermon, at the time, I was still trying to like fit into this crappy church. The sermon was offensive to me because it's like, LGBTQ people, again, this is a straight guy not knowing any better. LGBTQ people have to deal with a lot of fucking shit, like violence and blah, blah, blah. And I know that human suffering is universal and la, la, la. But I, as an LGBTQ person, after all the shit I've been through, I'm allowed to feel happy sometimes. I'm allowed to feel optimistic sometimes. I'm allowed to enjoy a cup of coffee. So I don't want to be emo. I don't want to be emo. And this minister, to me, too, it's like he makes good money, in my opinion. He's married to his wife who, she's pretty, whatever. He has 2 kids. He just has so much going for him. And I know happiness can be a choice or blah, blah, blah. It's just like, I don't understand why he's not happy. I was like, what more do you need? Because every sermon he was sad and complaining. I don't know. And finally, I want to say is I do think the church was a vanity project. I think like, I don't know, whatever. And I don't know his full story. I do know he was really fat in high school, and he didn't get a lot of attention from girls in high school. He talked about that. But now he has a wife, and she was attractive, and he has 2 kids. So I don't know, you good now? So whatever. It was a dumb church for me. Okay, so yeah, going to this church would make me feel sad, and I wish I'd never gone there, and all that kind of stuff. And also, they don't understand. Oh, they took for the lady narcissist. They took her side of the. They sided with her, and the reason why they sided with her is because she's straight. You know what I mean? And they think LGBTQ people are icky. It doesn't matter if I was squeaky clean. Doesn't matter if I was like celibate. It doesn't matter. I'm a fucking freak to them, and that's just the truth. So it's like I never should have gone to that fucking church. They can't see my humanity. They just can't see it. So I never should have walked into that church. Okay. So this is a weird segue, but the reason, okay, this is a weird segue. This video is me wrapping up 2022. So with that, I want to wrap up some stuff from 2022. And I'm going to talk about like cults and stuff because, yeah, like some churches do function like cults, basically. Some churches are awesome, and some churches function like cults. So, yeah, but before I get into that, so anyway, the other thing is, I gotta tell you, if you just put a man in a leadership position, a certain kind of person will like, whoa, this person's so amazing. So the same deal with this like crappy church with this dumb little dude who's like the leader. Sorry, I'm being mean, but like, he would say stuff like, and also the way he started the church, because he talked about this in business meetings, basically he knew a rich white guy who gave him money, and he used that money to create this new church. Oh, also, he would like shit on conservative Christianity a lot, and I don't know. But then he's making he's literally getting money from whatever. Okay. it wasn't my cup of tea, and I'm perhaps being negative, and I'll go back to being positive later. Okay, this is a weird segue, but this video is just me like wrapping up 2022, so whatever. Okay, so alright, so back in August I made 2 videos about I don't know why I made these videos, but I just felt compelled. So I made a video about Dancing with the Devil with Demi Lovato. The reason why I felt compelled to make that video is Demi's part of the LGBTQ community and did Cool for the Summer, which is like a bisexual anthem. But the reason I felt compelled to make that video is just because Demi keeps it real in those documentaries, and I do admire the honesty. So that Demi's dealt with addiction, but in Dancing with the Devil, Demi kind of just glosses over the fact that, and I don't want to harp on this too much, I'm just wrapping up 2022, but she was basically like a victim, well, okay, in her words, you know, she was a victim of rape on the set when she was a minor. She was a minor, that's a key word. She would have been 16. On the set of some movie, she didn't say which one, but you know it's probably the one she's famous for. And she was the lead in that movie. So she was a victim of rape by, I guess, like, I mean, whatever, some other teenage actor or whatever. And she reported the crime. Well, this is how she put it. She said, well, I was in my trailer, I was making out with a guy, he wanted to have sex, I said, I don't want to do that, you know, and she's like, and he did it anyway. And that's her words. If he did it anyway, I just want to make that clear, that's rape. That's rape. Okay. And so the reason why I felt compelled to make the video is just like, so then Demi in the Dancing with the Devil documentary, she said she reported it to someone. It was implied nothing happened to the rapist. Like she said he got to stay in the movie he was in. I think that's extremely fucked up. And so I made a documentary about Dancing with the Devil because Demi tells that story. It's a very long document. I think it's a documentary series or whatever. So it's a long documentary series. Demi tells that story and then just moves on. But I would have to say, since Demi dealt with addiction and that kind of thing, I would just say, I felt compelled to say, hey, that's really fucked up that happened. And maybe I said jokingly, maybe that's the next documentary, because that's a documentary within itself. If she was the lead, I guess I can say it, I'm middle class. If she's talking about Camp Rock and she was the lead in Camp Rock and she's a good singer, she's the reason that, you know, she's the reason Disney made a crap load of money off Camp Rock. There's so many reasons why that's fucked up. Like, they should have at least punished the rapist or fired the rapist or take him off the fucking set. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's extremely fucked up. And she was a minor. She was a kid. 16 as a child. So anyway, so I made a documentary about Dancing with the Devil. I didn't catch any flack for that at all. And then I did back to back, because there's also, when Demi was 17, she met basically a predator. She met a predatory man who's in showbiz, and she talks about that. And I think the best song in her new album is 29. It's a really powerful song about really processing all that. Anyway, so then I made a video about, back to back, about the documentary Phoenix Rising about Evan Rachel Wood. And it's the same vibe where when Evan was 18, so that's a kid, that's a teenager. I get like she's legal, but she's a teenager. But when she was 18, she encountered like a 37-year-old sexual predator and that led to 3 or 4 years of domestic violence. So I don't want to keep harping on that either. I don't want to harp on people's traumas. I'm just wrapping up 2022. The reason why I bring up that is, you know, it took me a while to process that, but the reason I say that is, I did the video Dancing with the Devil, and then I did a video on Phoenix Rising, and basically I think misogyny is bad. I'm sorry, I use humor as a coping mechanism, But I think misogyny is bad. Okay, so I'm just trying to say misogyny is bad. The hatred of women is bad. The hatred of teenage girls is not good. We should be loving and kind. Okay, so but the reason I bring that up is I did Dancing with the Devil, and then I did Phoenix Rising, and my friend Edward, who's a really cool guy, Edward texted me. He's like, Julie, these videos are great. And I was like, oh, it's just me trying to end misogyny. But anyway, okay. So Edward texted me. He's like, these videos are great. They're so good. Edward is my straight, cisgender, awesome friend. He originally grew up in Guatemala. Now he's in the United States. He's amazing. We almost made out one time. Okay, but anyway. Okay. But, that's beside the point. So yeah, Edward's like a great guy, and he texted me. He's like, Julie, these videos are great. Like, right on, you know. But okay, but the Phoenix Rising video, the reason why I had to process it, I don't get a lot of heat online. I've gotten some comments that are mean a little bit, like a long time ago, and I just deleted those comments. But I don't get a lot of heat or negativity online because I keep I'm not relevant. I'm not famous, so I'm not relevant enough for people to be mean to me. But two, I keep my social media presence pretty positive. So because of that, I don't really get a lot of heat online. The reason why So with the Demi Lovato video, yeah, I didn't get any heat, and the guy who she went on to date, like the guy who the song 29 is about, he doesn't necessarily have this this big following, but the guy from Phoenix Rising does seem to have this like cult-like following, as in the people who follow him seem to really, really follow him passionately or be fans of him passionately, which means that it seems like Evan gets heat, you know, it seems like she got some heat for doing Phoenix Rising. Okay, but why am I still talking about this? Okay. So the video was up for 3 days, and some of my videos get like 4 views. The video was up for like 3 days, and so I went to go check on it, and I was about to upload another video, and I look at my Phoenix Rising video, and it had 53 views in 3 days. That's a lot of views for me. So I was like, whoa, what's going on here? 1. 2, it had 3 comments, and it was 3 comments from people who are fans of the guy she's talking about in Phoenix Rising. The fans, they were nice to me. Their comments were like essays. Their comments were like 3 paragraphs long. It turns out I like accidentally hurt their feelings, and I was like, what? Like, I don't know. I'm a nice person, but anyway, the 3 comments, I don't know, the energy of it, the vibe of it, it scared me, straight up, it scared me. So I had to make the video private. I did some podcasts about it. Okay, but here's some last final things I want to say about Phoenix Rising, because I don't want to keep harping on someone's trauma, right? Okay, because the documentary is really intense. Okay, the other thing I want to say is, like, there's this book called Class Matters, and it's all about the United States and how people of different classes, like how much money you make. I don't know how class is like a thing in the United States, which it totally is. So I think too, like, I was just having to process a lot, because these 3 people who like left comments on my the Phoenix Rising video, I don't think they make a lot of money. I mean, I'm not rich either, so it's like, I guess I was being loyal to my class, I guess. And I don't know why I was doing that. So there's some last thoughts I want to say about Phoenix Rising. And I'm hiding it in this video about this crappy church I went to. But it's all about sort of cult mentality, right? Because I feel like the crappy church accidentally brainwashed me and left me susceptible to this lady narcissist doing something really weird and mean to me. And then the crappy church took her side because she's straight. I wish I'd never gone to that church, but you live and you learn, to quote Alanis Morissette. So the good news is I'm never stepping foot in that church ever again. And the 2 dumb dudes who reached out to me, I said they were still low-key homophobic. So I said, I'm going to unfriend, to both of them separately, I said, I'm going to unfriend you from Facebook. I'm going to distance myself from this horrible church as much as possible, and definitely just leave me alone, because they're still homophobic because they're products of conservative Christianity. They kind of don't know any better type of thing. You know, they have a lot. If they ever deconstruct, you know, the brainwashing, they have a lot to deconstruct. But they might not need to ever deconstruct, because they low-key make a lot of money off conservative Christianity. Like, why would they need to deconstruct it when they're making so much money off of it? Okay. All right, but also, like, they're not sadistic. They're not sadistic. They're accidentally homophobic. But that's still hurtful to me. You know, I'm not Frankenstein. Okay, so I'm a person. All right. But the thing about Phoenix Rising that I want to wrap up, that way I don't have to talk about it in 2023, because I don't want to harp on someone's trauma. Okay, the first thing I want to say is, like, holy crap. So, oh gosh, what do you say? The documentary series is so intense. Okay. So I kept up with this off and on, give or take, you know, throughout the years, I guess. But Phoenix Rising, the documentary series on HBO Max, it actually, like, breaks it down. And the thing is, I have to say this, I don't got no beef with his fans. I don't. But, so I'm just gonna say some things about him. But in the documentary, he commits his crimes on camera. He confesses his crimes on camera. It's all there. So I 1,000% believe Evan, because he commits his crimes on camera. He uses Nazi paraphernalia in his music videos. So it's all there, you know. So, you know, and Evan, you know, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not judge or jury or anything like that. I'm an indie filmmaker. So, but I believe Evan. It's not my place to make a judgment call. But I believe Evan. And in the documentary, I cannot stress this enough, he commits his crimes on camera. So there's evidence of him, sexual assault. We're talking sexual assault, rape, domestic violence. He's also racist, anti-Semitic. He's biphobic. He's basically just an asshole. He's an asshole. He's a terrible person who does terrible things. Okay. It's all there in the documentary. I gotta tell you, he does it on camera. Okay. So, yeah, I believe Evan because I believe I saw it. I saw it in the documentary. Okay. So, one thing I want to say about Phoenix Rising, I believe Evan. I'm, you know, I'm Team Evan. There you go. The second thing I want to say is, this is oversimplified, but misogyny is bad. Racism is bad. Anti-Semitism is bad. Biphobia is bad. Being an asshole is bad. It's bad to be those things. So I just want to say that for the record. I know that Abbott Elementary had an episode about this, but I know that woke white people can totally be annoying, and I'll be the first to say I'm annoying. I'm totally annoying. Okay. But, like I said, I just want to say for the record, misogyny is bad, racism is bad, anti-Semitism is bad, biphobia is bad. It's bad to be an asshole. It's good to be loving and kind and caring and empathetic and awesome. It's good to be those things. So I just want to say that for the record. The last thing I want to say is, I love Johnny Cash. Oh, the other thing I want to say is, I love rock and roll. I love Ozzy Osbourne. I had a friend in college who studied classical music. He was a music major. And he studied Ozzy Osbourne. He played piano. He could play like every Ozzy Osbourne song on the piano. He could play the guitar solos on piano. So he is actually the one who introduced me to Ozzy Osbourne. So I love Ozzy Osbourne. I love Alice Cooper. I love Elvira. I used to watch the Elvira movies. So yeah, the whole goth, I guess, aesthetic. The aesthetic is great. But misogyny's bad. So, and I think I don't know, Ozzy Osbourne, Alice Cooper, Elvira, they seem like cool people, you know, in their interviews. So, you know, I listen to Ozzy, you know, and one of my favorite episodes of The Muppets is the one with Alice Cooper, and I used to watch the Elvira movies all the time when I was a kid. So I think goth is awesome. I just think being a misogynist and torturing women, I think that's bad and not cool. That's just what I want to say. Okay, the last thing I want to say is I also love Johnny Cash, and Johnny Cash has a song, "Sooner or Later God Will Cut You Down." And so with that, I want to say that I love that song because there's so many times I've seen where justice hasn't been served yet. And I still believe when it comes to Phoenix Rising, I think that justice will be served. Not for me, I'm just an indie filmmaker, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not the district attorney or whatever. You know, I'm not a cop, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not the FBI, but I really believe that justice will be served somehow. I really believe that in my heart of hearts. I believe that God, for me, I believe God champions love, joy, kindness, empathy, and justice, and setting boundaries. So I think justice will be served somehow. I believe in that. Okay. So that's all I want to say about Phoenix Rising. That's what I want to say. Rare. Because last thing, because they do show in the video, based on Phoenix Rising, and this is all on camera, it does seem like he's basically a white supremacist. I'm sorry, humor is a coping mechanism. And, you know, I'm an annoying woke white person, but I don't fuck with white supremacists. I just don't. So I don't fuck with him. So it is what it is. But basically, he's a white supremacist, racist, anti-Semitic, biphobic, misogynist. I mean, oh my gosh. So I just listened to Ozzy Osbourne. Okay, I never really listened to his music in the first place, but, you know, I feel good listening to Ozzy Osbourne and having an Ozzy Osbourne t-shirt. I'm going to go with that. So, I don't know. I think justice will be served. As far as his fans, you know, and if there are fans who are giving death threats to Evan, that's low vibrational energy, that's evil, that's mean, that's bad. You know, it's up to a judge to decide that kind of stuff. As far, not death, but a judge to decide. You know, so basically some people think Evan's lying. I believe Evan because he commits these crimes on camera. Okay. So, gosh, okay. He confesses to the crimes on camera. Okay. But, I believe justice will be served. Okay. As far as the fans sending Evan death threats, that's evil and horrible. They should not do that. I would think that's against the law. But as far as his fans who, like the 3 fans who left comments on my video that I had to make private, they seem like nice people. So I genuinely wish them all the best, for sure. Like, if he has fans who are good people, I wish them all the best. But for me, I believe Evan. Yeah, of course I believe Evan, and I believe justice will be served in the situation. And I would just tell people, listen to Ozzy Osbourne. Ozzy's so talented. Okay. So that's what I want to say about Phoenix Rising, because I do think, unfortunately, the guy in Phoenix Rising, he does have this weird cult-like following where they think he's this sensitive soul. And, you know, like, I thought he was good in Bowling for Columbine, the documentary, but from, like I said, what I saw in Phoenix Rising, and there's evidence, he does this on camera, in front of a camera. He's basically a white supremacist. Oh God, I don't fuck with white supremacists. I just don't. Okay, so cult-like mentality. That's why I wanted to talk about Phoenix Rising. Okay, so lastly, there's a show on HBO Max called. So Phoenix Rising is on HBO Max. I totally recommend it. It's very intense, but I totally recommend it because it's just very well done. And it's very honest. So I'm glad, kudos to Evan for telling her story. The last thing I want to talk about is The Vow. The Vow is a show on HBO Max. It's 2 seasons. Each season is 10 episodes. And it's like, each episode's like an hour long. But in The Vow, I was watching The Vow seasons 1 and 2, and I was like, epiphany. And it was reminding me of that crappy church I went to, because that is to say, the crappy church was not as bad as The Vow, not even close. But the cult-like vibes of The Vow, it was kind of there in the group dynamics of the crappy church I went to. So The Vow, the reason why I find The Vow fascinating is because there's this dude named Keith Raniere, and he basically ran a sex cult. Yeah, but he presented this organization as personal development, as professional development company. That's how he presented it. But actually, it was a sex cult. And I think that's fascinating because, low key, like legit, straight up, I've gone to personal development conferences. So I was like, oh shit. Like, part of me is like, it could have been me. Now, Keith Raniere is not my type, and I'm pretty much gay, but also I'm not blaming the women who fell for his shtick because, yeah. Okay. So I'm watching The Vow seasons 1 and 2, and I'm just having so many epiphanies because there are some churches that are kind of cult-like, and I was like, so with Keith Raniere started this company called Nexium. He was also involved with like multi-level marketing. I went to one, my friend like low-key or acquaintance. My acquaintance like tricked me into going to a multi-level marketing like intro meeting. It also was kind of cult-like. I'm not going to lie to you. Like the vibe was just kind of weird. Okay, let's go back to The Vow. Okay, but so Keith Raniere was in multi-level marketing, and there's tons of videos about multi-level marketing. But then he finally did Nexium, and under the guise of personal development, professional development, he presented it as that, but really it was a sex cult. So, sorry, the absurdity of it all. Okay, so the one thing I like about The Vow is like it just breaks down how it all went down. So season one of The Vow, you're interacting with the peripheral characters. And sorry, they're people. I don't mean to call them characters, but they're human beings. It's a documentary series. But you're interacting with the peripheral people. And the peripheral people are like, they didn't have sex with Keith Raniere. So I think they got lucky on that one. They didn't have sex with him. But one of them did, trigger warning. One, she did get branded. Yeah, he was such an asshole. So he branded the women with his initials. It's basically BDSM, but not consensual BDSM. Like that's the problem. Because I live in San Francisco and it's kinky in San Francisco, which is awesome. I mean, whatever. But the thing is, the kink is consensual in San Francisco. But not that I'm kinky, not that I'm against kink, like whatever. Okay, so this is not a video about kink, but at least it's consensual though, and that's what I'm saying. And people are upfront about it in San Francisco. The reason why Keith Raniere, spoiler alert, went to prison for 150 years. Let's hear it for the New York justice system. The reason why he did go to prison, he got sentenced to prison for 150 years, is because. Okay, the cult mentality was the way he hooked people into his company is they would come in for a week. But I do think Keith Raniere was an evil genius. I do think he's a genius. He's just an evil genius. And I think the thing he was a genius at was, manipulating people. The reason why Keith Raniere got 150 years like in prison, which is awesome, is because like he said it was personal development. He said it was curriculum to help you do better. Like I'm into personal development, so I don't know if he wants to shout out, but there's something called the 5x50 formula. It's a productivity formula that Brandon Burchard came up with, and I remember, and I know that can sound like mumbo jumbo, but the 5x50 formula, that's something I followed to help me become more productive. And the irony is like the 5x50 formula is like get more sleep. You know what I mean? It's like get 8 hours of sleep. You're more productive when you have a lot of sleep. So it helped me out a lot. Anyway, that's an example of what personal development can sound like, right? If you're not familiar with it. But Keith Raniere is evil because he, under the guise of personal development, like something along the lines of 5x50 formula or whatever. He's pretending to offer courses to help people better who they are, better themselves, right? And I love personal development. Basically, it's self-help type of thing. And personal development saved my life. Studying psychology saved my life. Studying psychology helped me deconstruct and get out of that horrible church. Yeah, because their degrees are not in psychology. Their degrees are in theology. That means they know a lot about the Bible, which is great. But that doesn't mean they necessarily know about like how the human brain works. And I don't know. So, like I said, like I think that church was just a vanity project for the lead minister. I think he just wanted a lot of attention every Sunday, or I don't know. I don't understand. That's what I want to say. I don't understand the point of that church. I guess to provide community, but I never fit in at that church. To provide community for sad upper middle class people, it was too much for me. It was too alienating. It wasn't my vibe. I go to church to feel better, not to feel like garbage. I would walk away feeling so icky, like they were like fetishizing sadness in a way that made me feel uncomfortable. And I'm saying that as someone who's dealt with depression my entire life, so I know what it's like to feel sad. So, but I don't want to like get off on it. Like that's kind of weird. Okay, and I feel like the LGBTQ people were kind of tokens. I feel like the people of color were kind of tokens. Like, there's just a vibe to it that it didn't feel like it wasn't a good place for me. So I'm glad I don't go there anymore. But if it is a good place for some people, then that's awesome too. Like whatever. But I wish I'd never gone there. But some of the members were nice at that church, so that's something. But the leadership team, I don't know, y'all. I don't know. Okay. Okay, so as far as the Vow Seasons 1 and 2, so yeah, it's basically like he tricks people into coming into, but the other thing he does is like really the curriculum, it's not personal development curriculum. The curriculum is designed to mentally break down the members as much as possible so that Keith Raniere can control them as much as possible. So he wants money from the men and he wants money from the women. He hustled some wealthy women, but also sex. So he pretty much sleeps with all the women, but some of the women are underage. So he's just a horrible person. He's also constantly, because they have tons and tons of footage. They have like voice memos and texts, and they had so much evidence against him. That's why he went to prison for 150 years. But there's this part where whenever you catch him, even the way he was talking to Allison Mack, who's like a good actor and whatever. And yeah, you know, for sure she did some bad stuff too. But Allison Mack was a victim because like, even when he's talking to her, you can hear it. He's always putting her down. And you can hear her like crying or, you know, and feeling bad. That's where she was a victim. It's just like, it's like, Allison, why don't you stand up to him? But he's gotten inside her head, you know, and that's what he wanted to do. So that, I guess that's his, I'm glad he's in prison. Okay. But yeah, so he was manipulative. He used mind control to control people. And he, yeah, it was very cult-like. So I really enjoyed watching the Vow Seasons 1 and 2. And Season 2, they focused on a woman named Nancy who was like, worked with Keith Raniere a lot and cooked him breakfast every morning for years. I was like, Nancy. But it's okay. Nancy overall, I don't know, she was basically a victim of Keith Raniere too. But there's one thing Nancy says, like almost on the last episode, I think she's like, you know, it's easy to judge NXIVM because it's such an extreme. But she also said, but I mean, everyone on some level has been through something like this along the lines of NXIVM. And NXIVM's just an extreme. Because it's a sex cult, which makes it an interesting subject for an HBO series. But I agree with Nancy because I was watching NXIVM and I was watching some of what Keith Raniere was doing, and I was like, you know, I have friends or I've talked to acquaintances who have talked about sexual abuse in the church or ministers taking advantage of their leadership positions to sleep with people. One of my acquaintances said she knew a minister who cheated on his wife with an 18-year-old member of the congregation. That's all kinds of fucked up. So fucked up. It's predatory. It's predatory. And the other thing too is like in churches, you know, I'm going to talk about good churches, I promise. But some churches, it's like, well, Jesus says forgive. But that's just an asshole using theology to get away with doing whatever the fuck they want, you know? So it's, I gotta tell you, yeah, watching NXIVM, it was reminding me of all this shit I've heard from friends or acquaintances about different experiences they've had about churches. There's even a stereotype that some ministers are like really slutty. And, you know, like for sure, like not slut shaming, but on one hand. On the other hand, you know, they're slutty in a sleazy way, and it's a tricky thing. You know, they're being sleazy, they're taking advantage of their leadership position to be sleazy, that kind of thing. Yeah, anyway, it's a tricky thing. It's a tricky thing. So what's the point of all of this? What is the point of all of this? Okay, what can you learn from my mistakes? Okay. What I would say, and I think I've said this before in other videos, but before you walk into a church or even like a company, before you walk into, let's say you're a skateboarder and you want to find people, I don't know, like a group of skateboard enthusiasts, which, whatever. The vibe, whenever you walk into a group of people, whatever group it is, regardless, religious or whatever, blah, 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 when you walk in, the question you want to ask, church, whatever, is what's the psychology of this church? What's the psychology of this organization? The psychology, I thought, of the crappy church I used to go to was, I think they're low-key homophobic. They think LGBTQ people are icky. They don't really, they tolerate like the straight people, you know, they're proud of themselves for sitting next to a gay person at church, but that's really dehumanizing. Straight people are like, I'm so proud of myself. I sat next to a gay person. It's like, yikes. Ow, you're not talking to me. I wish I'd never gone to that church. But okay. Gross, gross, gross. You're dehumanizing LGBTQ people. Okay. But anyway, yeah, and the other thing is they just really fetishize sadness in a way that made me feel really uncomfortable. They were getting off on the sadness. Like every Sunday I was like, tell me how sad you are. Let's talk about how sad it is. Let's talk about how much and to a point where I was like, give me a fucking break. Oh, this church drove me bananas. And I say that as someone who's dealt with depression my whole life. So I would have to say I go to church for optimism and hope and love and joy and that kind of thing. I don't know, y'all. I wish I'd never gone to that church. But when you walk into any kind of organization, what is the psychology of this church? And by the way, there's an institution, and it's okay to feel sad. I felt sad for sure. But I gotta tell you, I got to my mid-30s and late 30s, and I remember thinking, they say like when you're ready to learn, the teacher shows up. I remember thinking it was in mid to late 30s. I have legit reasons to be depressed, blah, 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 child abuse, blah, 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 all that kind of shit. But mid to late 30s, I remember thinking or praying, I was like, I am so fucking tired of feeling sad. I can't fucking take it anymore. I can't take it anymore. I don't want to be so fucking sad all the time. And after that, I discovered personal development, and that's how I learned just to feel happy every day. Life's gonna come at you. Life's gonna suck sometimes. It just is. So I'd rather feel joy in my life. So I moved there. I didn't want to feel sad all the fucking time, and so that's why the crappy church, where they are kind of fetishizing sadness. It's like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to get off on how sad. And they had so much material blessings. It was just like, I don't know, whatever. I didn't fit in at that church. But I would say before you choose an organization, regardless of sexual orientation, whatever, just like, what is the psychology of this church? Like, what is this church really teaching? Aside from theology, like, because with church they're all going to be quoting Jesus. So yeah, they're all going to be quoting Jesus if you go into a church. But really, what is the psychology of this church? Are people happy at this church? What's the vibe you get? Are people not happy? Are people cliquey? The crappy church was a little cliquey. But most of the members were nice, so I just had a horrible experience there, and I wasn't happy with the leadership team. But yeah, I would say, what's the psychology of the church? That's what you want to ask yourself before you choose a place to worship or any organization. Okay. The other thing I would say is, before you choose an organization or a church, whatever, trust your instincts, trust your heart, trust your gut. So your instincts come from thousands of years of DNA. That is to say, our instincts come from our ancestors, right? So I'm Scottish on both sides, so I come from Celtic culture. So, yeah, your instincts, I don't know. Sometimes I know I'm being very tutti frutti, very whatever, but sometimes I feel like my Celtic ancestors are like, fight, Julie, fight! I don't know, that's very tutti frutti, but I don't know. But I want to say is, trust your instincts, trust your gut. Because with The Vow, with Keith Raniere, in season 1, most of those people, they're like, yeah, the first time I met Keith Raniere, I was like, ew! That was their natural, visceral reaction. Yeah, go with that. Your gut, your instincts comes from thousands of years of DNA of your ancestors. That might be your ancestors telling you, get the fuck out of there. So, the first time I walked into the crappy church, I remember, yeah, my first thoughts were like, and I ignored it, and I ended up getting burnt or hurt pretty badly, in my opinion. Okay, so trust your instincts, trust your gut, trust your heart. Okay, the last thing I want to say is, oh yeah, if you get the other thing I want to say, well, I don't want to harp on it too much because I talked about Phoenix Rising, but I remember watching that music video a long time ago, like, because it came out a long time ago. That music video that they did together, I remember watching it once. I remember thinking, like, ew, this is weird, bad vibrational, no. Like, no shade towards Evan, but it's like, even then, my instincts were telling me, like, ooh, no, ugh. Sorry. Not making light of someone's trauma. It's just like, every instinct in me was like, this is bad vibes. So, I don't know. And then it turns out it really was bad vibes, as we see in the documentary Phoenix Rising. Okay, so the third thing is just like, if you're in a situation or at a party or around people, whatever, and you're just getting a bad vibe, and in my case, the weird, I guess I kept wanting this weird church to be better, but all it can be is what it is. So I was getting like blah vibes. I was getting basic vibes. So maybe I'm talking shit about this church. I don't know. But I know, like, I really got burnt. And all I can do is, like, make a YouTube video about it. So, especially also, I want 2023 to be positive. And honestly, I'm not gonna be, God is my witness, knock on wood. I'm gonna stop making these videos and eventually, because I'm going to make better decisions when it comes to the people I let into my life. Oh, and that reminds me, I'm going to put the screen grabs here. One of my favorite channels, Surviving Narcissism, by, I think his name is Dr. Carter, but he said it recently in a video, or actually the video is from a year ago, but I caught the video. He said, this was so liberating for me. He said 20% of the in his opinion, 20% of the population is capable of having a healthy relationship. When he said that, I was like, dang, like legit. He was like, he believes that only 20% of the population is capable of having a healthy relationship in general. Friendships, la la la. And I gotta tell you, that made me feel so much better, because I don't think I'm picky. I don't think I'm whatever. I just think that that just makes me feel better. I just think that it just seems like this is where, like, toxic positivity. I was trying to use toxic positivity to fit into a horrible church, and it wasn't gonna happen. So, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just want to say, when he said that, I'll put my screen grabs here. I'll link to that video below. And he's a doctor. He has a PhD. But he said in his opinion, only 20% of the population is capable of healthy relationships. I totally believe him. So I feel okay with being strict about who I let into my life, because eventually I won't have to keep making these videos, because I won't have anything to say about crappy people in my life. You know what I mean? The people, you know, you can't choose your coworkers. Not really. You kind of can, but you can't. But I like my day job. I'm gonna have a new roommate who's awesome. My old roommate's great. He gave me this couch. Awesome dude. We gave each other a hug. Great guy. It all worked out. So, but you know, as far as my socializing, I'm currently single, happily single. I only have one celebrity crush. I made it clear who that is in my video. But I know when Dr. Carter said only 20% of the population is capable of healthy relationships, then I feel pretty fucking good about being selective over who I let into my life, because then I won't need to be making these kind of videos anymore, and I'm going to be selective about what groups I join, you know, and I'm going to listen to my instincts. So yes, so yeah, so that is to say, yeah, if I walk into any kind of group and the vibe doesn't quite fit me, I'm gonna peace out, because life's too short. I'm 40 years old. So, alright, y'all. So, yes, that is the conclusion of the video. Hey, once upon a time, I went to a crappy church. I got screwed over by a lady 2 weeks after my dad died, and the straight people took the side of the straight lady, because at the end of the day, they're conservative Christians and they're dumb. I don't think all conservative Christians are dumb. I just think these ones are dumb. But I still love Jesus, and I'm also interfaith. I'm totally cool with other religions. It's all good. So, yeah. Okay, my theology is Christianity. My religion is love, joy, kindness, and empathy, and setting healthy boundaries. Hey, okay, thank you so much for watching. I'm Julie. If you want to know more about me, you can check out my website. Y'all are awesome. Be careful. Surround yourself with loving, kind, amazing people. You deserve the utmost awesomeness in your life. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.